Hello everybody, welcome to Shyam's Storytime. Today is the fifth part of King Vikramaditya stories and it is titled The Story of the Just King. Are you ready to listen? In the first story, the Vetal told King Vikramaditya was this. Once upon a time, there was a king who was named Bichara. The king had only one son. The prince was well taken care of and the prince loved hunting. And there was also a dense jungle just outside their city. The prince one day went for a hunt for a long time. He hunted in the jungle and at the end of the day he was so tired. He found a little pond from which he wanted to drink some water to quench his thirst. But he had a horse and he was wondering if somebody can hold the horse, and he looked around. It was a jungle, of course. No one was there except a sage. A sage was sitting by the side of the pond and he was in his meditation. The prince went and called the sage and told him, "Can you please take care of my horse for a while? I will go to the pond, I will drink some water, come back and take it." The sage opened his eyes. First of all, he was angry that somebody disturbed him while he was in prayers. Secondly, there is somebody who is asking him to do some small job for him. Sage did not like it. He started to speak in a very rude manner. "How dare you ask me to do these small things? In the first place, you disturbed me while I was in prayers. Who are you? What do you think of yourself?" asked the sage. Now the prince, being the prince of this big kingdom, did not like it at all. He just picked up a whip that he had on his waist and he started to beat up the sage. Sage was very deeply wounded. After the prince left, the sage decided that he has to go and report this to the king and ask for justice. The next morning, the king was in his courtroom and there appeared the sage who was still bleeding from his wounds. He came and told the king, "Do you see what has happened to me? This is all because of your son." And the sage told the king everything that happened the previous day. The king was furious on his son. The king had only one son and he loved him so much. But when somebody is speaking like this, he immediately called for his son and he ordered his minister to cut off the prince's hand. The minister himself told the king, "Please, don't be hasty in your decision. Just hold on for a while. Let us hear also from the prince." The king was not ready to listen. Even the sage was taken aback when the king said that the prince's hand should be cut off, the same hand which whipped the sage. Sage went and pleaded with the king, "Please, I did not mean to hurt your son. Do not cut off his hand. That is not what I wanted," he pleaded. Now, Vetal is telling the story to King Vikramaditya. Remember, he said the Vetal will ask a question at the end. The question that he asked King Vikramaditya was, who was more just? Is it the sage or the king? King Vikramaditya smiled and thought to himself, he knows the answer. But if he opens his mouth and speaks, the Vetal will fly back to the tree, is it not? But if he knows the answer and keeps silent, his head would burst into a million pieces. That's what already the Vetal had told him. So King Vikramaditya said, "Of course, the king is more just here, more than the sage." "How do you say that?" asked Vetal. King Vikramaditya said that the king is more just because despite the fact that it is his own son, he ordered for punishment. So he is more just, said Vikramaditya. Vetal said, "You have given the right answer." The next moment, he flew back to the same tree where he was hanging. King Vikramaditya was a perseverant person. He is not somebody who would give up. He walked back to the tree, climbed up the tree and picked up the horse. He hung it on his shoulders. He started to walk back. The Vetal started to tell him another story. But for that, you have to wait for the next episode. Did you all like today's story? If you did, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Shyam's Storytime. You will have access to all the stories that I upload. My name is Shamla and I am a passionate storyteller. I will meet you in the next story. Bye-bye.